Cinema can teach us so much, and especially about gender, sexuality. There is so much that one can learn with cinema. And there is a film called Badai Do, which is done by Rajkumar Rao and Bhumi have acted in that. So both of them play characters where one is lesbian and the other one is gay. The best thing that adults have with each other is the power of language. Children don't have the power of language. Many a times they don't know names for their body parts. How do you expect children to come and speak about gender, sexuality, or anything that's happening with them?
Hi everyone, welcome to the fresh episode of the Storyteller Studio. With us, I have someone really special, Harish. Hi Harish.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Many years now.
I know. Welcome to the Storyteller Studio. I'm so excited to have you.
Likewise.
So Harish, tell us about you, about your journey, how it's been.
Well, we have had a long dissociation. We have not connected for quite some time. So happy to connect again.
Yes, same.
We know each other from Khalsa College,
Yes.
and Khalsa College is a central character in my story.
Yeah.
I lived all my childhood in Matunga, and then, like every good Matunga boy, I went to Khalsa College.
Yeah.
I used to live behind Khalsa College, and if you look at my story, it has got 2 or 3 phases in my story. One of the phase is the phase of child sexual abuse. I was raped at the age of 7 by a maternal relative. That's something that I speak very vociferously about. Then came in a stage where I was struggling with my identity as an abuse survivor, as a young boy who was grappling with sexual abuse in a world where people believed that only girls get sexually abused. To grapple with that identity was another phase in my life. Then there was another phase where I was trying to find out who I was, what my sexuality is, whom am I getting attracted to. And the fourth phase was about getting assertive about the fact that I am gay. I love men. I love women, but I don't want to sleep with them. So that was another phase. And finally, a phase where I'm coming out about my own gender, where I realized that I don't, life is too sexy to be boxed only in one gender. So I am a gender fluid person. I sometimes think I'm a boy. Sometimes I feel like a girl. Sometimes I feel like both. And sometimes I feel like neither. So which is, gender fluid is one of the terms which is under the transgender umbrella. I am a gender fluid person. I find myself, I've lived all my life like a boy, like a man, but now I'm embracing my feminine self. I love dressing up. There are times when I'm at home where I would wear nothing more than a pair of torn Bermudas, and I find it very comfortable dressing up that way. But when I'm out, I'm more presenting like a woman or more feminine, and I feel the sexiest best when I'm dressed as a woman.
Harish, you just mentioned about the incident that happened in your life, and it actually changed your life. And especially me having 2 kids, and many mothers out there, fathers out there, those are listening to us. World is not safe for either the boy or a girl. So how did you deal with it? Did you try communicating this to someone?
I think, Poonam, the best thing that adults have with each other is the power of language. Children don't have the power of language. Many a times they don't know names for their body parts. You know what's an eye, what's a nose, but every time you're teaching parts of the body to a child, you have an underwear put on the child's body, and that's how you say that, okay, eyes, nose, throat, and then you use words like bottom or you use some other word of that kind, and you just don't see that one part where the groin area, and you just supersede that, or you give nicknames. You call it chucha, chuchi. So when you don't even empower children with the language to say the name of their body part, how do you expect children to come and speak about gender, sexuality, or anything that's happening with them? I'm talking about the year I got abused in the year 1986, um, because I'm 79 born, so I was around. That was the age when I got abused for the first time, and it was a relative of mine, and it kept continuing with me for another 11 years continuously. It started with my abuser trying to give me a bath, giving me a bath, and no one really objects when a man is giving a bath to a male child. हम ऐसे कोई सोचता नहीं है ना कि आदमी है तो शायद इसके इसके इरादे बुरे हो सकते हैं. So it started with that, and while he was giving me a bath, I remember his wife was also at home, and he was giving me a bath in the confines of the bathroom, so no one really thought of abuse or anything of that kind. So while he was giving me a bath, he also stripped completely. Usually वो नहीं होता था, कम से कम एक अंडरवेयर पहनते थे या कुछ होता था. So he also stripped completely, and before I could even imagine, he was asking me to fondle him, and he wanted me to, and I was just a 7-year-old boy, and he wanted me to perform oral sex on him. And while he was making that suggestion is when I could hear my aunt, his wife, say outside. I wanted to scream or shout, or just tell auntie that, auntie, see what he's telling me, or something of that kind. When I had that much sense that I had to say something like that.
Right, huh?
But before I could even say that, he shut my mouth, and exactly at that time, I could hear my aunt say that मैं जाके भाजी खरीद के आती हूँ. Okay, so she was moving out, and she had no clue that something like this was happening. So she got down and she went. I could hear the thud of the door. Bathroom के अंदर से सुनाई दे रहा था, and he had kept his hand like this. He just put his hand like this, and he thrust his penis on my mouth. And that was the first time I got sexually abused. And I was shivering because my aunt was not gone forever. She was coming back, right, in the next 15 minutes or something. But she took some more time. And in that time, he basically, and this is the era of where we didn't have mobile phones, right? No landline phone. Landline phone bhi nahi tha ghar pe. So she went and he locked the door. He put me on the dining table, got on top of the dining table, and had anal sex with me on the first day itself. And by the time my aunt could come back, he had also kept a knife next to my throat and told me that if I tell this to anybody, he will get me killed and the person killed. And the fear got into me so much that the moment my aunt came back and the bell rang and she walked in, it was like a switch. The moment I saw I of course had my clothes completely on by that time, but the moment I saw my aunt, acted as if nothing happened. 10 सेकंड पहले क्या हुआ था ये मुझे भी पता नहीं था. And you have this switch off and switch on button that children have, which adults don't have. Children have this. हम बच्चों को देखते हैं ना, कभी कभी इंजेक्शन जब देते हैं, you see this doctor, the very viral video that goes on. The doctor does this, and suddenly goes and pokes an injection, and the child doesn't cry at all. Similarly, every time a child falls down, I say, "Kuch nahi hua, kuch nahi hua, kuch nahi hua," and the child forgets. That is very difficult to do with adults because adults have retention power. As children, we are able to remember and forget just at the blink of a moment. It's very difficult for us as adults, to sit here and to see what would have happened with that child and that child's mind. But as a child, there was a switch off and switch on button. I could just switch off and disconnect with the entire world when he was abusing me. And after that, I didn't even remember what happened to me 10 seconds ago or 2 seconds ago. So that was my childhood from the age of 7 till the age of 18.
You were abused for so many
Continuously.
years.
Not just abused, by the time I reached the age of around 11 or 12, my abuser used to get people home, and all of them used to abuse me as well.
So you never raised your voice, you never told anyone.
I did. I did try telling my mother once. I told her my uncle touches me here and there. And my mother said, don't go close to your uncle. I, I didn't know the language to tell or to tell someone that this is so grave. You have to see it in the context of the time that this was told. जहाँ पे awareness बिल्कुल नहीं था.
Right.
और so that was one. And the second time I was eating, I know it was the summer season around this time when I had told my mother that I am bleeding from my anus.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
And my mother said it's happening possibly because you eat too many mangoes. Okay. So that was one thing. And secondly, it had become a practice for me, Poonam, कि मेरा switch off, switch on button हमेशा चलता था. Switch off, switch on. Like for instance, even now, I have such a bad memory of things because my mind was programmed to just switch off. If I go off, तुमने कभी देखा कि ये रूम से मैं बाहर जाऊंगा तो मुझे याद नहीं है कि 10 मिनट पहले क्या हुआ है इधर. I mean, I was not forgetful. That was my trauma response. That was the way my mind had responded. And possibly for the good. Because at that time, if I knew what was happening to me, I would have been devastated. I would have been horrible. I wouldn't have possibly found the resources or the people to pick up the fight with me. So this happened. Gang rapes started becoming a norm when I was 11, 12.
On you?
Yeah, my uncle used to get people home. So there used to be like 3, 4 or 5 people. I don't remember their faces completely, of every face completely. I don't remember every incident completely. I think for child sex abuse survivors, the recovery is of a lifetime. You recover throughout your life. And you don't really recover to a point to say that today I'm completely recovered or I'm completely okay. There are bits of trauma that will always live with you. So the only thing that you can do is live with your story and to become the god of your story. Instead of the story dictating what happens to you, you dictate what your future course of life is going to be. And that's why I think your tagline resonates with me so much because everyone has a story to tell. And as you tell your story, every time to speak about my story was therapeutic for me. Because every time I spoke about it, there would be bits and pieces of my past which I myself wouldn't be aware of. कि मैं कभी तुमसे बात कर रहा हूँ, सानी में बोलूँगा, पता है उसने रेड कलर का शर्ट पहना था. And I'm like, oh, where did this come from? How did I remember this? Because it's your memory just goes off completely, and then it starts, pictures start revealing itself. And it might happen all my life. And I'm prepared for that, and I've accepted that this will happen all our lives. And it's like any other trauma, actually. And I think the challenge for me was child sexual abuse. But it's like any other trauma. It's like losing a parent sometimes, where you're very close to somebody and you'll completely forget everything that they did, but you might remember some incidences or some places that you've gone with the person and you keep wondering, यार मुझे अभी तक याद क्यों नहीं आई है, अभी क्यों याद आ रहा है, right? So I think it's child sex abuse is also one such thing, but just that because it's exploitation by another person who is an adult, we give it more. We think that it's more preventable, and seriously, India has an epidemic of child sexual abuse. There is more possibility that the next person you meet is a survivor of child sex abuse than the possibility of the next person you meet having common cold. Child sex abuse is more common than
More
common cold.
Oh my God. Can't just believe whatever you said, Harish. It's God. Hats off to you. How have you even gone through so much and you're so strong?
I think Poonam, it's not the strength that one lives with. It's the fact that sometimes children who are survivors of child sex abuse have no option but to be strong. It's not a choice that I exert to be strong. If I have to survive, I have to be strong. Okay, so it's not like I had an option. There's no option. And the only way I could have survived is by owning my story, is by telling other people. Because मैंने जब मेरी माँ को 18 साल की उम्र में बोलने की कोशिश की, my mother's first reaction was, if you were a daughter, I would have protected you. I would have known that these are the things that that could have happened. But she didn't even fathom that a boy could be going through something like this.
Sure.
Right? So, तो जब और हम सब ना एक inspiration ढूंढते हैं. Every time you grow up, you'd be looking at, oh, I want to be like this person because of some similarity that your life and that life would have. I found no such person. There is no such person. I didn't find one survivor, male survivor of child sex abuse. Not one.
Survivor in the sense?
One male survivor. मतलब और कोई जिसके साथ ये हादसा बीता हो, जो एक लड़का हो, मुझे एक भी नहीं मिला.
तो शायद से वो डर के मारे नहीं बोलते थे कि क्या है?
कभी डर के मारे नहीं बोलते थे, कभी इसलिए नहीं बोलते थे कि ऐसा नहीं कि ये कॉमन नहीं था, मगर इसके बारे में हम सब ये उम्मीद में लगे रहते हैं कि कोई और हमारा इंस्पिरेशन बनेगा. हम खुद उठ के इंस्पायर नहीं करना चाहते, है ना? और दिस कम्स विद अ लॉट ऑफ brickbats also. Like for instance, every time I spoke, people would doubt the authenticity of my story. उनको लगेगा कि एक बार जब मैं सत्यमेव जयते में आया था और बाद में मैंने बात की, बहुत एक बार ट्रेन में कोई मिला था मुझे और मुझसे पूछ रहे थे कि वो आपको टीवी में देखा, आपका स्टोरी बहुत अच्छा लगा. बोला अच्छा लगा आपको? ओके. फिर मुझे बोला कि आपको पूछना था स्टोरी किसने लिखा है? शायद सलीम जावेद ने. So, तो यही है कि
You actually said that.
Yeah, Salim Javed ने लिखा. I said, who doesn't want to feature in a Salim Javed film? So the thing is, there is disbelief.
Yeah.
And there are going to be people who are going to judge the authenticity of your story. Now, I have only one thing to tell them. If you want to believe, you believe. If you don't want to believe, think of it as one beautiful story or dardnak story that you'll hear to protect your children. You do that. What you interpret of my story is not my concern. To tell my story is my duty. What your interpretation is left to you. But I can only tell you and everyone who's watching this right now that child sex abuse is a reality. It is happening whether you know it or you don't know it. It's happening in our homes, in our schools, in our colleges. It's happening everywhere. The more you come to terms with it and you understand and you educate your children, yourself, it's going to be good for you. Yeah. Because there are perverted educators out there who are going to educate children. So the only thing that you can tell your children is, if this happens, I trust you. I believe you. I will believe your story. You can come and tell me. There are some parts of your body which without your consent, no one else can touch. And it's better if a parent tells that to a child than anyone else, than a teacher, than a educator, than a friend, than a family member, and parents of either gender. And please, boys are as vulnerable as girls.
Yes, they are. I agree.
And yeah, why do we teach our girls, periods आता है तो हम सिखाते हैं यार, पीरियड्स के लिए तुम सैनिटरी पैड्स यूज़ करो, ये यूज़ करो, तुम्हारे साथ ये होगा. बॉयज़ को कब सिखाते हैं? बॉयज़ को कब सिखाते हैं कि पीनस को कैसे साफ रखा जाता है? बॉयज़ को कब सिखाते हैं कि तुम्हें अगर if you have a nightfall, what are you supposed to do? If you get an erection, what are you supposed to do with that? Why don't we speak to boys about these
Boys,
things,
yeah.
right? Because इससे क्या होता है कि हम ऑटोमेटिकली हम ये सोचते हैं कि बॉयज वल्नरेबल नहीं हैं, बॉयज वल्नरेबल हैं। अगर आपके साथ आपके बेटे और बेटी हैं, tomorrow sometimes for me my sister Priya was my biggest protector. She's a hearing impaired sister that I have, but she was my protector. Every time I went out and someone bullied me, she used to pick up a fight with people.
So
So
sweet.
so the thing is, it all depends, and मुझे लगता है ये education घर पे होनी चाहिए।
घर पे होनी चाहिए। Harish, you mentioned that you were abused till the age of 18. And what was your journey post being 18?
I think for me, when you have a cycle of anything, to break the pattern is the most difficult thing. Anything for that matter. हम बस एक ही जगह से लेते हैं तो वो पैटर्न तोड़ना बहुत मुश्किल है। खाना हर रोज एक ही टाइम पे खाते हैं, वो पैटर्न तोड़ना बहुत मुश्किल है। एब्यूज का भी एक साइकिल होता है, एक पैटर्न होता है। वो पैटर्न को समझना और उसको तोड़ना, टू पुट अ डंडा ऑन दैट on the wheel, spoke wheel, takes a lot of time. And for me, I slowly gathered my courage, and it peaked only because once you become older, you start realizing that what's happening with you is not happening with everyone around you.
Correct.
Not everyone around you is understanding their sexuality because they were raped. You start realizing that, and you also get used to your own sexuality. You're feeling attraction towards people, and you don't feel abusive, so you don't, that the thing is not, that is not the way you show love. You can show love in tender, kind ways. And that's when the awakening happened in me. And around that time, I also had a dog. His name was Jimmy. And I used to come home, I used to put my head between his paws, and I used to start crying. I used to narrate what happened with me to my dog. And I used to, because he was a dog, he was not human being, he understood everything that I told him.
I'm sure. Yeah,
and he used to lick my tears every time I cried. So what no human being could do, and no God could do, I used to put the book down and stamp on it saying कि भगवान तो होता नहीं है, okay, no, which no God could do. The inverse of God did for me. The inverse, if you read God backwards, it reads dog, and that's what my dog did for me. And one day I was, my abuser was coming and he pounced on me, and I just gave him a kick, because usually I'm not in my consciousness. I'm in that trance.
How old were you?
I was 18.
Okay.
So I gave him a kick and I screamed no, and that's all that it took. After that, he has never touched me.
That was
For
very brave,
for that, it took me 11 years to do that, to say that no. And I was a fully functional adult, and still I couldn't say no. It was only when my dog came into my life, and I होता है ना, कभी कभी जब ये ट्रांस स्टेट में होते हैं ना, तो इम्पोर्टेंट होता है कि देयर शुड बी समथिंग दैट ड्राइव्स यू आउट ऑफ इट. And then things started getting difficult. For till that time, I had no समझ नहीं थी ना कि आपके साथ कुछ गलत हो रहा है, इस बात की समझ नहीं है. So even your struggles are invisible to yourself. But once I started opening up, then the real challenge came. I had to confront several other truths. I used to walk. I used to be very conscious while walking. I used to walk like a woman. So I used to get teased in college. I went to Khalsa College. I used to get bullied, and I was this South Indian boy in a bunch of sardars in Khalsa College. And वैसे ही सरदारों का नाम वो टाइम पे बहुत ये था, तो मुझे लगता था कि यार यहाँ पे सब गुंडे होंगे या ये होंगे. So I used to really think like that about, that's the impression I used to have. But I went to Khalsa College because I had a close friend who got admission there. And I thought कि वो friend जहाँ जाएगा मैं वहाँ जाऊँगा. And around one of these days, and just as I feared, people bullied me. There used to be a 4-letter word written on chalk in the desk. when I used to sit down, people used to tease
In
me.
Khalsa?
In Khalsa, in Matunga, Khalsa College.
अच्छा.
And तो इतना कि मैंने 3 बार अपनी जान लेने की कोशिश की. एक बार हमारे खालसा कॉलेज के टेरेस में जाके मैंने दवाइयाँ खाई थी. चीमा सर के घर के जस्ट बाहर दवाइयाँ खाई थी. एंड आई बिफोर आई कुड जंप, आई फेंटेड, बट आई फेंटेड बैक साइड. तो मैं टेरेस में ही गिर गया था. एक बार मैंने हाथ काटने की कोशिश की. एक बार काम्पोस के पूरे टैबलेट्स खा लिए थे. तो I had done all this, and I survived, and I survived because of my dog, and survived to tell my story.
Yes.
And तब मुझे ये एहसास हुआ. और एक ही बार खालसा में नजराना का टाइम था. I was on stage. I used to be very good with dramatics. And I still remember Lagbir Kaur, Papia ma'am, and they also used to be Parvinder ma'am, who used to be there. And and Lagbir especially used to push me into all these extracurricular activities. So मेरा सारा जो energy था anger का, वो creatively दिखने लगा. And suddenly I could speak. And around that time when I was on stage, I remember खालसा नजराना का stage था और वो लोग बात कर रहे थे और सब लोग ऐसे हंसी मजाक में, मैं जब स्टेज में आया सब लोग कुछ बोल रहे थे, मजाक उड़ा रहे थे. एंड आई रिमेंबर सेइंग ऑन स्टेज कि मैं 7 साल की उम्र का था जब मेरा बलात्कार हुआ और 7 साल की उम्र में बहुत मजा आया. एंड देन द सेम क्राउड दैट बुलीड मी स्टूड अप and became my fierce protectors. Fiercely, they used to protect me, look after me. So I got to see the whole transition of the stereotype, which was also true, okay, because they were not the most kind people to me. But the same people, like behind that hard shell, they were like a coconut. They had a soft interior, was something that I could see also. So that's why I might be a Tamilian and born in a family that that practices Hinduism. I don't think religion should be thrust on anybody. But if I'll just look at the principles of Sikhism, I think at the core I'm a Sikh, and that's what I want to do. I want to believe in the tenets of Sikhism, in the core values of Sikhism, and propagate it. I think the Sadbhavna, Seva, all these values that Sikhism stands for, if we all stood true to that, then the world will be a better place.
Better place, yeah.
So, and I'm truly a child of Khalsa, and that was the same college where I found my first girlfriend.
You had a girlfriend?
I had a girlfriend.
Okay.
Once upon a time, long ago. She's going to kill me if she hears me, but I say this all the time. But yeah, we were together for a week. Her name is Gunjan Chaurasia. And we have such good friends, and I love her to death. But we were quite...
For a week?
For a week. That's the longest I've had an affair with a woman. But she was very sure about my sexuality, even before I was. I was interested in men, but I was always very scared, ना? मतलब तुम्हारे जैसे abuse के time मुझे कोई दिखा नहीं जो मेल सर्वाइवर ऑफ चाइल्ड सेक्स अब्यूज था. यहाँ सेक्सुअलिटी के टाइम भी मुझे जब लोग नजर आते थे, मुझे कोई, आई डिडंट फाइंड LGBTQ person who was not an activist, who was just only the person I knew of was Ashok Rao Kavi, who was an activist. और मैं जिंदगी में कहता मुझे एक्टिविज्म नहीं करना, मुझे बस अपनी जिंदगी जीनी है और अपने on my own terms मुझे अपनी जिंदगी जीनी है. But I never wanted to be an activist. So I didn't find relatable figures per se. So I didn't come out as a gay person that easily. But Gunjan and her friendship, the fact that she supported me, even now, if there is a problem, she's one of the few people I pick up the phone on. Every time that now if I have a professional struggle or anything for that matter, I would pick up the phone on her and speak to her. And then came a phase in my life where I started asserting my sexuality. मुझे समझ में आया कि मेरे जैसे और भी लोग हैं जो गे हैं।
आपको समझ में आया कि उन्होंने सामने से आपसे कम्युनिकेट किया?
कुछ लोग तो मुझसे कहते थे, पहले से
हाँ।
लोग कहते थे, मैं थोड़ा शर्मीले मिजाज का था, तो लोगों को लगता था कि मैं शर्मीले मिजाज के लोग तो गे ही होते हैं, या फिर मैं थोड़ी औरतों जैसे चाल होती थी मेरी, तो लगता था कि यार ये तो गे ही है। तो हमारी जो स्टीरियोटाइप्स हैं, सारी स्टीरियोटाइप्स में मैं फिट बैठता था। मगर मोर देन दैट, ये लेबल था कि यार तुम्हारा बलात्कार हुआ है, इसकी वजह से तुम ऐसे बने हो। ऐसे लोगों ने लेबल, लोग बाग की बात मैं क्यों करूं, मुझे खुद लगता था कि
अच्छा।
क्या ये बलात्कार हुआ, क्योंकि मेरे सारे फ्रेंड्स की गर्लफ्रेंड्स थी जिसके साथ वो बाहर जाते थे। समटाइम्स दे यूज्ड टू स्पीक अबाउट देयर सेक्सुअल एनकाउंटर्स विद देम, और मुझे लगता था कि यार मेरे पास तो ऐसे कोई स्टोरी नहीं है, ना मेरी ऐसी कोई चाह है। तो if this abuse incident didn't happen in my life,
You
would I
would
have
have been.
turned,
Yeah,
would I
yeah.
have been heterosexual? This was there in my mind. But then I saw my old photos when I was born, जब मैं छोटा सा बच्चा था। वो टाइम से मुझे औरतों के पोशाक पहनना बहुत पसंद था, इवन एज अ चाइल्ड।
अच्छा।
शर्मिला तो मैं बचपन से था, इवन बिफोर आई गॉट अब्यूज्ड। Okay, my brother was 2 years younger than me. He didn't get abused by my uncle. They chose me. Why did he choose me?
Because you were the shy.
I was the shy person, and probably it was not that abuse made me gay. No, nothing makes. अभी हर औरत के साथ कोई ना कोई हादसा होते हैं। कुछ फैमिली में ना हो तो कम से कम ये तो हो ही जाता है कि ट्रेन में, बस में कोई हाथ लगा देता है, कोई मिसबिहेव करता है।
राइट। हाँ।
इट इज इम्पॉसिबल।
वो अभी भी चल रहा ही है।
हर जगह
हाँ,
होता है।
हर जगह ही। हाँ।
Does a woman blame her heterosexuality on the abuse? जैसे से कि ये काका आए थे, मामा आए थे, चाचा आए थे, ताऊ जी आए थे, उन्होंने हाथ लगाया जिसकी वजह से मुझे आकर्षण लड़कों की तरफ होने लगा। We don't say that, no? Why do you want to find a reason every time there is
Yeah.
a homosexual person कि इसके वजह से ये हुआ होगा? Why should there be a causative factor for anyone to be homosexual when there is no causative factor when someone is heterosexual? हम ढूंढते ही नहीं है, हमें लगता है कि यार ये प्रकृति का नियम है, बस बिकॉज वो लोग बच्चे दे सकते हैं, बस इसलिए। ये भी तो हो सकता है कि एक कपल हो जिनको बच्चा नहीं करना हो, तो क्या उनको प्रकृति का नियम नहीं मानेंगे?
नहीं मानेंगे, राइट।
तो मुझे नहीं लगता है कि मेरे अब्यूज की वजह से मैं गे बना हूं। मैं गे इसलिए हूं क्योंकि मैं गे हूं।
सही बात।
और अगर कोई हादसे की वजह से गे बनता हो, कोई अगर बाल यौन शोषण की वजह से गे बनता हो, तो आप मुझे ये बताइए, अगर इंडिया में 54% बॉयज गो थ्रू चाइल्ड सेक्सुअल अब्यूज, आर 54% मेन अराउंड अस गे? इट इज नॉट देयर. The statistics simply don't add up, because the Ministry of Women and Child Welfare, Renuka Chaudhary's government ministry had basically said that 53%. They did a survey with Childline India, and this was way back in the year 2007, 2008, I guess. And they said that Childline India came up with this whole survey, and they said that boys are more susceptible to child sexual abuse than girls. Okay, and the number is above 50%. So, and most of the times, not that women cannot be abusers, there are times when the whole song "Bolna Auntie Aun Kya Ghanti Mein Bajaunga" might sound very funny for us, but the same thing, if there was a woman who actually, a girl child who actually said "Bolna Uncle Aun Kya Ghanti Mein Bajaunga," you look at it as rape.
Correct.
Right? So there are women abusers also, but majority of them are men.
Men.
Okay, so are 50% of people around us gay? They are not. We are still a minority. We are still fighting for our rights. Right? So that's where this whole myth that child sex abuse, and many YouTubers are trying to spread that myth कि यार इनके साथ कुछ गलत हुआ होगा तब ये गे बन गए हैं। यार तुम स्ट्रेट कब बने? तुम्हारे साथ कुछ गलत हुआ तब तुम स्ट्रेट बने? ऐसा तो नहीं होता है ना। So the whole thing is that this is not an aberration of nature. It's a variation of nature. There are gay penguins, there are gay dogs, there are gay cats, there are gay mynas, there are gay munias, and there are gay human beings.
Human beings, right.
It's just a variation of nature. इतने दिमाग खुजाने की जरूरत नहीं है। हम बस अलग हैं और हम अपने सहमति के साथ, और हमारे देश का कानून भी यही कहता है कि तुम सहमति के साथ किसी के साथ बेडरूम में, नॉट इन द पब्लिक डोमेन, बेडरूम में तुम सेक्स करते हो और वो 18 साल के ऊपर है और सहमति के साथ करते हो, कोई कानून आपको रोक नहीं सकता. सेक्शन 37 है, वन ऑफ द impleaders in that case in the Supreme Court. And this is what the judgment says, that it's okay as long. अभी मैं और ये सोचो पूनम कि मैं अगर मेरे बॉयफ्रेंड के साथ गुटरगू कर रहा हूँ और वो देख के पूनम आपकी सेक्सुअलिटी बदल जाएगी, ओके, तो खोट किस में है, मुझ में है कि आप में है? आप में होगी ना. So no one's sexuality changes by looking at people who are gay, right? So I think that's something that people need to understand. Let's just people live.
Harish, have times changed? Like, do you still face hatred from people, and how do you actually educate? How can we actually educate people out there?
See, the first thing is this podcast by itself. I think, Poonam, you are doing a great job by
Thank you.
Starting the conversation, and you're getting this conversation on a mobile device now. People will be, please share this podcast with people so that they could get educated. So that's number one.
Yes.
Watch. The second thing that you can do to get educated is don't try to educate the world. Educate yourself.
Yeah.
Educate your immediate circle.
Yeah.
If you want to know about queer people, please call in queer people. Call them into your festivals. They all are there. वैसे हर कौम में, हर गली में, हर कूचे में, हर जगह LGBTQI+ लोग हैं.
Right.
बस वो खुल के नहीं आ रहे हैं, वो उनका दोष नहीं है, आपका दोष है. अगर वो खुल के, if you don't know of a single gay person, that means you're not an ally to a single gay person. So if people haven't come out to you, it's your fault. It's not their fault.
Right.
So the moment you open, do simple signs like putting the pride flag in your balcony, okay, or participate in the pride parade that happens in the city, okay, or take your children along to watch the pride parade.
Right.
So that children, because
why not? Of course.
Because Poonam, it's हम लोग बच्चों को भी सिखाते हैं ये सोच के कि मेरे बच्चे ना एकदम स्ट्रेट होंगे, कि शादी के बाद अभी मेरा बेटा है, बेटी है, अभी उम्र हो गई है, अभी थोड़े 4-5 साल के बाद उसकी शादी होगी, वो लड़का लेके आएगी. क्यों भाई, वो लड़की भी लेके आ सकती है, या फिर ये भी बोल सकती है कि वो लड़का है, या फिर वो आपका लड़का जो है, कुछ से that I am interested in a boy, not interested in a girl. Till हम लोग हैं शिवाजी जनवायचं पण शेजाराच्या घरी. This is a saying in Marathi, which basically is that you want everyone to be brave, but you want the brave person to be in another house, not in your house.
Yeah.
मेरे घर पे शिवाजी मुझे नहीं चाहिए, because मेरे घर पे शिवाजी होगा तो वीरगति को प्राप्त होगा. So you don't want someone to die. You don't want the soldier to be in your house. You want him to be in the other house. The day, Poonam, you are willing to accept that tomorrow your children could grow up to be whoever they are, and your learning and your teaching is only that you have to be your authentic self.
Yes.
And you should not cause harm to anyone else.
Agreed.
If the day each person who's watching this right now or is in their homes is having a conversation with their children or themselves, are they willing to accept when their loved ones come out to them and say that, you know what, I'm not in love with a girl, I'm in love with a boy. Or I am not a girl, I am a boy. If you, or I am somebody who's gender fluid, or I'm somebody who's just different. And if you don't try to put them in the mold of what you have thought, तुमने एक ढांचा बनाया और बोलोगे ये ढांचा में बैठ, यानी कि 18 साल में शादी होगी, 20 साल में. We have also challenged that. We all have challenged some norms.
Yeah.
Okay. Now is the time when children will assert their gender. They will assert their sexuality. And to teach our children that you have to be the best version of whoever you are.
Whoever you are.
That becomes the thing. And if there is opposition, I will stand with you. That's something that you need to say. And for that, watch television. There are several shows on TV. There are some which give you the wrong information also. There are some which give you the right information also. Watch the right shows on TV. There is There is a film called Badai Do, which is done by
Yes.
Rajkumar Rao and
Wow.
Bhumi
Yeah.
have acted in that. So both of them play characters where one is lesbian and the other one is gay, and they are playing a character where they are trying to convince their parents. They don't want to come out to their parents, or they get married to each other. Please don't get married. That's not the lesson that you need to take from that film. But the lesson that you need to take from that film is the fact that they they both are queer people,
Correct.
and they need to accept their queerness. Otherwise, it
Yes.
leads to more complications. Chum is there. Chum, who was there in Big Boss, who plays a very boisterous lesbian character in that film. Rajkumar Rao has done a fantastic. Bhumi has done a fantastic. Watch that film. Then um, there's a film called I Am, which is one of the stories, or rather, almost two of the stories, is based on my life. I Am is a film by Honor. You'll find that also online. Lot of English films, but more relatable. A lot of Marathi films. You can see many people. There is there are two films that are very close to my heart, are Zogwa and Natrang. Please watch the films again. Zogwa and Natrang both are not about queer characters per se, but it's about Zogwa is about misconception that that these two people could be from the Zogta community. Natrang is about a man who dresses up like a woman to perform, right? So you have such beautiful films. Our country is rich with.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear this. You know, cinema also is taking some steps.
Cinema has
towards this,
always taken steps. I
Yeah.
think there is no powerful medium than cinema. Cinema
So always,
teaches us so much.
so much. I agree.
And for me, my cinematic character all the time was Sridevi, you know. And look at her Sadma, like, because much of the things that have happened in first of all, Sridevi herself was a character like me. Like, for instance, I'm very different when the camera is on, and I'm very different when when it's off. I don't. I'm and just like Sridevi would be. The second thing, otherwise I could be a very shy person sometimes. Similarly, all her characters she plays a dual character of a Nagin and this thing in Nagina, and a human being in Nagina. So all those were even monsters in my life that I was trying to fight.
Yes.
Living this dual this thing. So I related with her. Cinema can teach us so much, and especially about gender, sexuality. There is so much that one can learn with cinema. And there's a new film also, Ayushmann Khurrana ka. There were two films. I think the beautiful films, yeah. Chandigarh Kare Aashiki was one on transgender. Vani plays a transgender character over there. Many people are angry that they should have had a transgender person playing that character. But well, Vani has not come out. So what do you know if Vani is transgender herself? So, I think cinema has a great potential about and to do a lot of things.
So as the world is connected, there's some people in the US have come up with some statements about the LGBT rights.
I think Poonam, thanks for bringing this up, because we are really in a connected world. And what happens, I can't be divorced to what's happening in the US, because people in the US are also a part of my community. They are our brothers and sisters and trans friends who are over there. I think what has happened in the US is Trump has come up with a statement saying that there are only two genders, and he's going to recognize only two genders in the US. Genders are more than two. Okay, there are many genders. I'll tell you a little bit about genders. One is when you were born, what did the nurse go and tell your father?
लड़की हुई है, बधाई हो लड़की हुई है.
बधाई है, लड़की हुई है. When your brother was born, what did the nurse go and tell your father?
I don't have a brother.
But you don't have a brother. If you had a brother,
बताइए वो लड़का हुआ
लड़का
है,
हुआ
हाँ,
है ना?
हाँ,
सो दैट इज कॉल्ड सिसजेंडर. सिस इज सेम, बिकॉज बड़े होने के बाद भी तुम खुद को अभी क्या बुलाती हो? औरत की आदमी?
औरत.
औरत. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड सिसजेंडर. इट इज सेम. नाउ इफ यू ग्रो अप एंड यू सेड कि मैं लड़का हूं, तो इज इट ओके फॉर मी टू कम एंड टेल यू नहीं 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 तुम लड़की हो, लड़की हो, लड़की हो? इट्स इनकरेक्ट.
इनकरेक्ट, या
है ना? यू आर, यू नो. तो अब तुम जवाब क्या दोगी कि मैं जानती हूँ मैं कौन हूँ, तुम्हें इसमें पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. नाउ दैट इज कॉल्ड ट्रांसजेंडर. Transgender is when what you're born with, you're born like, what did the nurse see to say that? Nurse saw, in my case, the nurse saw a penis to say कि मुबारक हो, लड़का हुआ है.
लड़का हुआ है.
बड़े होने के बाद मैं कहता हूँ कि मैं लड़की हूँ. तो अभी क्या मुझे कोई पुलिस वाला या कोई भी मेरी पैंट उतार के देख के बोल सकता है कि नहीं 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 तुम्हारे पास ये ऑर्गन है तो तुम्हें लड़का होना चाहिए? नो वन हैज द राइट टू से दैट. सो जेंडर, सो सेक्स इज बिटवीन योर लेग्स. जेंडर इज बिटवीन योर ईयर्स. यानी कि आप खुद को क्या बताते हो, है ना? तो बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जो, मैं खुद, जहाँ पे मेरा जेंडर फ्लूइड है, मैं ट्रांसजेंडर के अम्ब्रेला में आता हूँ, मैं अभी अभी अपना रहा हूँ खुद को, है ना? तो मेरे पास सर्टिफिकेट, ट्रांसजेंडर सर्टिफिकेट है, बट एट द सेम टाइम आई वॉज बॉर्न इन अ मेल बॉडी. ओके, आई and this happens with many people across the world. अभी ट्रम्प क्या कहते हैं? ट्रम्प चाचा ये कहते हैं कि तुम्हारी सिर्फ 2 जेंडर हो सकते हैं. तो अभी बहुत सारे लोगों ने ट्रांजिशन कर चुके हैं.
हाँ.
जो पैदा वो एक वुमेन के बॉडी, गर्ल के बॉडी में हुए हैं, नाउ दे आर अ मैन. और पैदा एक बॉय के बॉडी में हुए हैं, नाउ दे आर अ वुमेन. नाउ सडनली व्हाट हैपेंस टू देम? व्हेन विच जेंडर डू दे गो टू? है ना? सो दे ऑल आर इन ट्रबल. Now the other thing that has also happened, when you don't recognize people, मैं तुम्हें सोचो कि एक जमाना था जब औरतों को हम बराबरी का हिस्सा नहीं देते थे, बराबर नहीं मानते थे. Imagine me not considering you at all, कि तुम हो, तुम्हारा अस्तित्व ही नहीं है करके मैं कह रहा हूँ. तो the anger, the frustration, the way the community is feeling right now in the US, it's appalling. It's really appalling. And the need right now is for more education. It's the need, and education department ही निकाल दिया वो लोग ने US में. There is no education department in the US. They have dismantled the education department. They are going to schools and colleges and removing all the books that have got anything to do with LGBTQ issues. And amongst those books is also there is a children's book on LGBTQ heroes. There are 53 heroes में जिसमें मेरा भी नाम है. वो बुक को भी वो लोग ने साइड में रख के रखा है. They have thrown those books, they have burned those books. What happens to a child who is growing in that environment? And America and Christianity teaches about loving thy neighbor. And it doesn't say love thy neighbor only when they are a cisgendered person. And that's making a lot of difference, because children are really suffering over there. Children who are going to be born. And the worst thing is, we use that as an example. हमारी हिंदू इंडियन सभ्यता में हम ये मानते हैं कि हम हर किसी का आदर करेंगे, हमें फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि आप पोशाक आपने क्या पहना है, कि आपके अंदर के ऑर्गन्स क्या हैं, हम आपकी इज्जत करेंगे. That is our अतिथि देवो भव, is our Sanskriti. We have started modeling our Sanskriti based on those bigoted views. And we have started, and recently the Amritsar Pride got banned. Okay. And that's the first time that for a reason like this, the Pride got banned. Previously, once it's got banned, and we had an issue in Bombay, but that was the CA and RC and protests, some other issue. But अभी वो दौर है जहाँ पे हमें खुल के बाहर आना है और हमें विदेशी नहीं बनना है, हमें और इंडियन बनना है. बिकॉज इट्स इंडियन टू लव एंड रेस्पेक्ट पीपल. It's Indian to respect people for who they are. It's Indian to go and meet people the way they are, rather than expecting them to change to fit into your culture. Right. And Indian culture is the most dynamic and the most evolved culture. We shouldn't go back. We shouldn't go back, and we shouldn't be copying Americans. In fact, if anything, we should be supporting America and the LGBTQIA plus population in America right now. We should be building safe havens over here, so that when they think of running away to another country, they can think of India as a safe haven, where here everyone is loved and respected for who they are. But ye backdrop mein, Amritsar Pride got cancelled because, hate has a tendency of spreading with wings. While love crawls through the doors, hate flies off the windows. And that's the problem. Love is crawling and the hate is flying everywhere. And ek hate message and everyone shares those messages, and that's how the Amritsar Pride got banned this year. But no, there are enough Punjabis who are queer. There are enough Punjabis who are here. And all Punjabis and people from every community would go up, and we will organize pride parades in every part of every city.
Yes, you should.
And
do
we are
it.
not going to go back to the closets ever.
We are there to support you always.
Thank you. I'm also there to support. We go to all heterosexual weddings.
Yeah.
हम शादियों में जाते हैं, आदमी और औरत की शादी होती है, हम जाते हैं, हम डांस करते हैं वहाँ पे.
हाँ.
तो आप हमारे प्राइड परेड में आओगे?
आएंगे, of course.
नहीं, आप हमारे प्राइड, वो बड़ी बात नहीं है, because हमने तो ये सालों साल किया है. So you're not doing a favor, you're returning the favor.
Of course we are returning. Anything for you. Anything for you all. Thank you, Harish.
Thank you so much.
So good to have you at the Storyteller Studio. My heart is full. I'm so glad that you were here and you spoke so much from your heart. And God bless you. And we are with you, supporting you and your entire community. Don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I just have one thing. To say. And since we ended on Amritsar Pride, जो बोले सोनिहाल,
सत श्री अकाल.